What's up, everyone? Today we are talking about fat loss and specifically running for fat loss. This is obviously probably the favored way to lose fat by people that don't really know what they're doing. Everybody goes to running as the be all and end all for fat loss, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons.
What's up, everyone? My name is Yanni Burmeister. Across the table from me is the Shut Up and Do Some More Burpees Rad Burmeister. And behind the camera, we got Richie. Today, we don't have Phil sitting next to us. He's in COVID lockdown after having a COVID test. He'll be back with us hopefully soon once he gets the test results back. But we're going to go deep this week into a great topic, which is sort of fat loss training. It's that time of year. I certainly got the urge to get out amongst it and do some running.
Well, it is in Australia.
It is in Australia, yeah.
Southern America, you're probably getting ready to
hunker down
to put on a few kilos.
Yeah, that's true. We're coming out of that period. We want to really just give people a little bit of value on the topic because it's something that a lot of people do really badly, and it's the reason for a lot of injuries, most commonly runner's knee, the dreaded runner's knee, which we'll talk about a bit more later in the series. First and foremost, how is everyone today?
Yeah, pretty good.
How's the voice of God?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good. Yeah.
Father's Day was good. It was a nice day.
Yeah. I had a really nice... got a really nice couple of presents from my kids yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
Some homemade gifts.
Yeah, I got that. From
preschool.
Daycare. Yeah, that was really cute.
Super cute.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Super cute. So, first and foremost, where do we start this talk? Where do we start this discussion?
We should talk about one of the first things just to start with. I don't think we should go on about this too much because we go on about it in every show, but we should just quickly pre-frame that running is load on the body and it has to be progressively introduced. So where so many people go wrong with running and where people get, because if you run for fat loss, then we're going to take a stab in the dark. I don't think you need to be a brainiac for this one, but you're probably carrying a bit of extra weight on you. Now, if you're carrying a bit of extra weight on you, running can actually be very, very harmful to the body because the impact on the knees and the joints is pretty severe. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't do it, but it's got to be understood that you need to take a progressive approach. And if you're somebody that, if you're carrying an extra 30 or 40 pounds and you've gone from sedentary to, okay, I'm going to get up and start running now to lose this weight, I would recommend that you even start with just a brisk walk to start with. Yeah. And then you go from maybe 20 minutes of brisk walking to brisk walking where all you do is a light jog every minute for 10 seconds out of every minute. And then you increase to, 20 to 30, so 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off type thing. And then, you know what I mean? And you just,
let's just pause there. Let's pause there because that's definitely what I want to talk about mostly today. But let's share a couple of stories first about our experiences running. Recently I started running again for the first time, outdoor running in quite a while. And the reason, and it's very real to me, I usually comfortably will sit around 85 kilograms of body weight. I don't know what that is in pounds. And at the moment, I'm about 95, and I'm very strong. I've been focusing on strength development at the moment, but I'm probably carrying a few extra kilos of unnecessary body fat as well. And so even just that extra 10 kilos is a big difference for my body, for my frame, when I get out and start running, when I'm carrying my own weight. And so I started doing a very short run, which is from my house down to the harbour, down a hill, but then you got to come back up the hill, and back up the hill is where my ego saw the biggest opportunity for gain because it's really testing. The going down the hill seems to be quite easy for me. But by the time I get back to my apartment, I've got quite severe knee pain, and it starts off fairly gradually, and you can sort of feel it as a little niggle in the knee, and then eventually it gets quite severe. Now, I've had a knee reconstruction from a soccer injury, and it's certainly related to that. But this is something that I think a lot of people will experience, little things that start off as little niggles and things like that. And what we tend to do when we're running, it's very easy to run until we can't run anymore, but you wouldn't do that in the gym. If you came to the gym and you were new to the gym, you wouldn't get under a bench press and just bench press until something hurt, But with running, it's sort of different. The psychology is different, You feel, we have an instinctual drive to run, and we can talk about that a little bit more, because we actually do. Humans are designed to run. We're very efficient runners, and if you go back and look at how we used to hunt and things like that, running was a big part of that. We are one of the only animals on the planet that radiate heat efficiently, so that we can continually do cardio for a long period of time, in many cases days on end, if you look at ultra marathon runners. So we're definitely designed to run, but when we don't do it for quite some time, like any exercise, when we reintroduce it, it has to be done properly. Why don't you share your experience of just switching up, because this is the same thing. It's piss poor load management. You decided to start running in your Vibram 5 fingers when you were in the army, and mismanaged load a little bit. Share that story.
Yeah, well, I had no idea what I was doing, and I got some Vibram 5 fingers because I wanted to be a hippie, and they were the cool thing to do. No, look, I'm not ragging on them at all. I'm all about barefoot training, and my understanding of barefoot training back then, and when I saw that you could get these 5-finger toe shoes, I thought, yeah, I'm going to do it. It makes perfect sense to me. But I, unfortunately for me, I decided to wear them for the first time when my platoon went for a run. So I had no control over the load. You have to run at the pace that the platoon runs at, and you have to run at the distance that the platoon runs at. And lucky for me, we only ran about 8 kilometres that day, so about 5 miles. But that was way too much, and I felt fine while I was doing it. But the way that you run when you run barefoot compared to with runners on, which is one of the reasons why some of these books, the barefoot running book, that they talk about why running barefoot is so much better for you, because it replicates the way that our body evolved with running, because we obviously didn't, 10,000 years ago we weren't running with runners on, we were running barefoot. But the way that you strike the ground is very different. You have to land on your toes first when you barefoot run. If you try to land on your heel when you barefoot run on concrete, and you'll know about it real quick, there's just the ankle joint basically does nothing to absorb the impact, but when you land on your toes, the ankle joint absorbs a lot of the impact, so your calf works in an eccentric contraction to take a lot of that impact away from the knee and from in the heel and everything. But the load that it puts on the calves is so much more than when you run in runners, because in runners you strike the ground with your heel, and the soft, air cushiony of your Nike running shoes takes them. So I ran for 8 kilometres or 5 miles or whatever, and I got such bad DOMS, delayed onset of muscle soreness, for the next week after that I couldn't walk. Like, I literally couldn't walk. I was in so much pain and discomfort, and I learnt the lesson the hard way.
Changing the load and not managing it properly is detrimental. Richie, you've had a running experience where you managed load terribly. Why don't you share your experience?
My experience was very similar to Rad's, except for I didn't have the finger or the toe shoes. I had like these New Balance Vibram shoes, so they're basically the same sole but a different sort of toe area, But yeah, I went on the same thing, big run down the end of the base, around the back of the base, in total about 8 Ks, and then I couldn't walk for 2 weeks straight after that, and I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's that load management, right? It's like going from nothing into a completely different way of running. It was just too much.
Yeah. Did you feel when you did it as well? Because I reckon you and I probably did the exact same run back down around 3 Sisby. Was that it, Richie? Like that one where you go down around where the engineers are and everything, and then come back up? Down that end of the base, or did you run up to the other end of the base, up towards the
Obs course?
Yeah, right. Okay, I know. I went down the other way. Yeah. And did you find that when you were actually running, it wasn't so bad, but the next day you were like, oh my God, I can't walk?
Oh, towards the end of the run, I started to feel it.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm going to be sore tomorrow. Yeah. And then,
but not like I won't be able to walk tomorrow. Like, it's just like,
well, not just tomorrow, the next 2 weeks.
And so the reason why both of these guys experience this intense DOMS and pain, which, they're both, you got to understand, this is when these guys were fit. They were both in the military, in the infantry. They did a lot of running. They did a lot of pack marching, where they're carrying a lot of gear and marching for kilometres, sometimes 15 kilometres in one stretch. they're very, very fit. And so if this happened to someone who wasn't very fit and wasn't very conditioned, didn't have an extremely high pain tolerance, guys in the military get trained to have extremely high pain tolerance. It would be very off-putting if you experienced something like this, if you didn't have that preconditioning. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to experience something similar, not due to a change in the shoe. And that's what the big change here was. They were used to running in regular sneakers. They changed the shoe, that altered the way they ran, and that overloaded a different part of the body that they weren't prepared for. But most people are going to experience the same thing just from the sheer scenario of taking up running and not being prepared for it or conditioned for it. And what we tend to do is we go out and run until our cardiovascular system can't take anymore and we're gasping for air. But that usually is far too much for our mechanics, our physical body, our musculoskeletal system. And if you're lucky, you'll experience what Rad and Richie experienced, which is a really intense delayed onset of muscle soreness just from the muscles being fatigued. If you're unlucky, something worse will happen and you might cause damage. If you're carrying a lot of excessive weight, it's very easy to cause damage to the knees, to the meniscus. You can roll an ankle and cause quite severe damage to the tendons and ligaments in your ankles. Yeah. There's a lot you can do when your body's fatigued and the elasticity of the joints is no longer functioning properly, and you just push yourself too far. And so that's, I think, really what we want to drive home today. We've all had our own personal experiences doing this, overdoing it, overcooking it, and the intention is always good. The intention to run now is a fantastic one. I think it's a great idea. Running is a form of exercise that makes you feel phenomenal. It's one of the best forms of exercise for the body in regard to releasing endorphins. You are going to feel sensational after you go for a run if you don't overdo it, if you manage the load properly. It's fantastic for cardiovascular fitness. It's fantastic for weight loss. There's a lot that happens that occurs when you're running. The actual mechanism of the impact on your body is one of the only things that triggers the body to strengthen bones and connective tissues. So it's actually really important that people do a little bit of running I think it should be done regularly and not sporadically, but if you get it wrong, it can be really detrimental and very off-putting. And for someone who's maybe carrying a little bit of extra weight, like myself, I know you probably laugh at that, but it's all subjective. I look at myself and go, yeah, I probably need to lose a kilo or two to get back to my ideal optimal body composition. And there'll be other people out there carrying more weight, certainly more weight than myself. It's a great idea to start running, but you got to do what Rad said before, and you've got to start very gently at times. Especially if you're carrying an extra 20 or 30 kilos.
Well, but the problem is as well is with running is that very few people probably didn't run a lot as a child. Very few people. I get that there might be some exceptions. I get some people are going to say, I was in a wheelchair when I was a kid or whatever. There's exceptions. But the majority of human beings do a lot of running when you're a kid. Like, try to stop a kid from running. Yeah. So we remember it. We all remember it. A lot of people have never gone to the gym before. So the idea of going to a gym, they recognize it as something that I've never done before. But people think of running as, well, I used to run all the time. I'm fine. If you haven't done it for 20 years, if you haven't even done it for 6 months, you need to accept that you're not going to pick up where you left off. And if you add to that you're now carrying extra weight, and you're an adult, so your joints have naturally had some degeneration.
If you haven't had impact, you haven't had impact stimulus, then the connective tissues in your joints will be weaker.
The passive structures. You get degeneration as well. Anyway, like the joints naturally suffer degeneration as we age. That's something that is a certainty, not a probability. So the older you get, anyway. But we've talked a lot about load management now. Why don't we shift the conversation for the last half of this to running for fat loss, specifically for fat loss, and let's talk about that, because that's what we said we're going to do. But before we do that, anybody that's watching, let us know, answer the question of the day. What cardio training do you do for fitness and or fat loss? What do you do? I personally do HIIT circuits. I do high intensity interval training circuits. I try and do a minimum of 1 a week for 16 minutes because I'm going by all the research, and the research says that 8 minutes of HIIT training once a week is enough to increase cardio fitness and shed a few pounds, keep you at a good healthy body composition. But you've got to remember that when you do HIIT training, the idea is that it's got to be balls to the wall. You've got to be absolute max effort. And if you watch me at the end of a HIIT circuit, I'm on the ground gasping for air at the end of that 16 minutes, probably for about 5 minutes after that. It takes me about maybe 2 to 3 minutes to come back to reality. But I've conditioned myself to be able to train to that level, so I can do that. Yeah. So that's my minimum in a week, and then my goal, cardio training for a week, is to do 2 of those a week. Yep. But the reason that I do that is because my biggest goals are around strength and flexibility. So I devote a massive amount of my training time to strength and flexibility. So in the way that I'm prioritizing my time, I don't have time in my week to go for a run. I just do my time differently. But we want to know, what do you do? What do you do for fat loss and in a week? Let us know in the comments.
Yep.
But running for fat loss is a really, really good thing, and we should clarify it, because some people don't understand why is running better than weightlifting for fat loss. And the only reason, it's not running itself, it's cardio is better for fat loss purely because you burn more calories in the same amount of time. If you do the right level of intensity with cardio, you burn more calories than if you do weightlifting. And that's the only reason why cardio is better, because for fat loss, it's a simple equation of calories in versus calories out. If you use more calories in a week than you consume with food, then you'll lose weight, not fat, weight. And so when you train, if you're training for fat loss, you want to burn as many calories as you can in that training session, and that's why cardio is great. And running is a really great way to burn calories, plus all the other reasons. Everything that Yanni said about impact is also really true. But another thing to understand is that running is what's called a gait pattern, G-A-I-T, and that's considered one of the primal movement patterns that we do. It's a way that our body has evolved. Like a gait is where you walk, jog, or run, where your arms move bilaterally, where the right arm moves forward as the left arm moves forward, and it's a massive, massive part of being a human being. It's a part of what we are.
Very, very good for your brain.
Yeah.
Very, very good for your brain. So, I want to sort of really reiterate, for anyone who's thinking about starting up a running program to sort of get in shape, improve fitness, or lose some weight, I think it's a fantastic idea, and I think that it's a great idea for many, many reasons. Above and beyond just the calorie expenditure, it is a primal movement pattern that our bodies are designed to do. It is very good for you, and I strongly encourage you all to get 1 or 2 runs in every week, But depending on where you're starting from, there's a very high possibility that your running program should start walking.
Yeah.
You should start by going on a brisk walk,
Yep.
And that brisk walk is going to help condition. I'm not talking about moseying along. I'm talking about walking, mate.
Yeah.
Like, get your heart rate up.
Yeah.
Really go for it. Swing your arms.
I can elevate my heart. I'm a fit person, and I'm a healthy weight, but I can elevate my heart rate just from walking.
Yeah.
If you really go for it.
Absolutely. Especially if you tackle a steep hill or something like that. And that walk is going to become part, especially if you're carrying a bit of extra weight, that's going to be enough for your joints to start conditioning the joints, conditioning the passive structures, conditioning the ligamentation systems and your bones. Mm-hmm. And then you'll progress to short, sporadic runs where you just jog for 100 meters or so, and then go back to the brisk walk, and you slowly and progressively introduce longer distances of running until you can do maybe 1 kilometer. And then you slowly start to build that up. And you would want to absolutely be giving yourself initially that 72-hour period in between those bouts of stimulus to fully recover, to let the adaptation processes take hold. So you wouldn't run Monday, Tuesday. You might go for your brisk walk or your light jog on Monday, and then you go again on Thursday, and just slowly build it up. This is the other thing that I did when I started running. My brain just said, I'm just going to do 15 minutes every day. You know, it's very small. 15 minutes to me is nothing in comparison to how much I ran a few years, 10 years ago when I was boxing. We used to warm up by going on a 5 kilometre run. Like, that was just the basic warm up we did, you know. And so, yeah, like Rad said before, I remember running. I remember being very, very fit and able at running, you know. So I went, all right, I'm going to do 15 minutes every day. And that's just how I finished the day. I go home, quickly throw on my runners and go for a run down to the water and back. And it felt fantastic and I loved it. But yeah, very quickly after a week or two, the knee pain started to get really quite severe and I had to back it right off until the point where I just couldn't run, you know. And so I'm going to go reintroduce it again, but I'm going to do it. That
was your injured knee?
Yeah, I don't say it's my injured knee. It's just a weaker knee because I've had that knee reconstruction on that side, and there's a lot going on there. And where it hurts is, well, this time surprisingly was the insertion of the iliotibial band around that area on the lateral side of the knee. But look, it's all just about where your weakest links are. It's gonna show them. You know, it's gonna expose your weakest links.
And we should really quickly just frame this, just so that everybody's clear on this, because so many people don't understand this concept. If you focus on weight loss without also focusing on building or maintaining muscle mass through resistance training, the research shows that you actually lose fat and muscle at a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you start training for fat loss and all you do is cardio training and you look at the scales and you lose 20 pounds, you'll actually have lost, statistically speaking, you will have lost 10 pounds of muscle and 10 pounds of fat. And that's an absolute disaster. And this is why people bounce back from extreme fat loss so quickly, because what happens is that the body, the metabolism, the regulatory system in the body for regulating your weight and your health freaks out, and losing muscle is a really, really bad thing. And what happens is it basically goes into starvation mode and it tries at all costs to put the weight back on, and it does that through many different things. One of them is that it increases your hunger. It makes you feel hungry more, so you need to eat more, and it works at trying to hold on to fat because the body doesn't know that there's a 7-Eleven around the corner, and it starts to think that it's winter and it's an ice age and there's no food for you to get. So it's really important that you understand that if you go running and you want to lose fat, you also need to be doing weightlifting to maintain your muscle mass, resistance training, to at least maintain your muscle mass, even if you're trying to not build it. And if you do that, we've had lots and lots of members get DEXA scans and everything, and we've proven that you absolutely can maintain muscle mass while you lose fat. But we've also seen people get it really wrong. And we've seen people, going, oh my God, I've lost like 6 inches around my waist, but then they get their DEXA scan and they've actually lost as much muscle as their fat as well, and it's a disaster.
That's a good key insight for today's show. I think.
we
could probably do a whole show about that. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah.
Let's jump into some of our viewers' comments here. So Simon Vanderkratz is saying, "Hey, just finished UMS Monday workout phase 2. Awesome, brother. Is that your first time doing the phase 2 Monday workout?" Sean Turner is saying, "I bike for 30 minutes hard 5 days a week at 57. This is what I've found that keeps my blood pressure down. Running works even better, but my ankles don't like it much anymore."
This is a really good point to highlight. Sean, I'd love to know, because cycling, and this is something that we need to, this is really why I wanted to talk about this topic today. Cycling is much easier to do at a higher intensity, high volume, because it's no impact. Yeah. And so you don't end up with that problem. And this is where so many people get running wrong. They try to match that level of sort of intensity. They have a goal intensity in mind. Yeah. And then they try to run to match that goal intensity, but the body's not ready for it just yet, And so what I would suggest, Sean, is that even though at age 57 you've got lots and lots of reason to get a little bit of impact. You certainly want your bones and your connective tissues to still be developing that strength. Yep. So I would say 100% keep up the cycling, because that's going to match your fitness intensity requirement. Yep. But then just introduce some really gentle impact through either light short distance jogs. Don't let yourself go to fatigue, because when you go to fatigue, the muscle systems start to lose their coordination, and then you can start to hurt your ankles. Or start off just by doing that brisk walk.
Try twice a week in your cardio sessions, maybe Monday and Thursday. start with a 5-minute brisk walk and then do a 2 to 5 minute light run, something that doesn't hurt your ankles, and then finish it with a really 20-minute intense cycle, so you still get that half an hour of training in. And then once or twice a week, just gradually increase the amount of time that you run, listening to the pain in your body. If it hurts, then back it off a bit. If it doesn't, you can go a little bit more. Yep. See how that works.
The key is, Sean, to get that stimulus but not overdo it. Manage the load. So you want to, whatever you do, walking, running, jogging, sprinting, you want to bring it to the level that's just before you feel discomfort, and pain in your ankles, and then slowly, progressively increase it over time.
Tyson McNeil, how are you, brother? Tyson is a good buddy of mine from the Army. He was in Charlie Company with me. He was even in my platoon. We were in 7 platoon together, weren't we? But we weren't in the same section, I'm pretty sure. Tyson, but how are you, brother? Good to see you on the show. And I got to pre-frame this for a little while because I spoke to Tyson recently via Messenger. He is still in the Army, he's still serving, and he's really worked, he's got a family now, and he's worked quite hard over the 8 years since I've been out of the Army to get healthy and fit. So what we're about to read that Tyson does, this is somebody who is, correct me if I'm wrong, bro, I think you're about 30, around that age now, but who for the last 12 years has been in military service working up fitness levels. So what we're about to see here is this is not for a beginner, what he's saying. So Tyson's saying, Yanni Burmaster, not sure what you guys think about this. I try and maintain a good set of intervals at 400 meters. So he's running for 400 meters in one interval, say 8 times 400s with a 1 minute 30 to 2 minute rest, or 6 times 400s with a 45 second to 1 minute rest twice a week. I find if you need to tailor your fitness, you can explode from that basic fitness to most things. I also might do this on a treadmill for a couple of weeks if my legs feel tired, etc. I'm trying to find more time for the 18-minute routine. Mate, that's an absolutely awesome, amazing way of doing it. And to look at your profile picture again, bro, you're looking like you're in pretty good shape.
Intervals are a wicked way. Sprint intervals, I'm talking about, are a wicked way to increase fitness. That we actually, our Sunday session when I was boxing at the most elite level was exactly that. We used to go down to an oval nearby here, which is right on the water, so we could jump in the ocean straight after for some recovery. And we used to do the interval distances changed depending on where we were in our programming. But yeah, we did about the same sort of thing. We used to do either 200-meter sprints, 100-meter sprints, or 400s, and then we'd often finish it with an intense 60 seconds of shadow boxing once we already maxed out our heart rate. And the idea was, we all had heart rate monitors. We tried to maintain our max heart rate during that boxing at the end, and man, we were fit. Like, we were insanely fit.
400s are so hard. I think I've only done 400s, exactly what you're talking about there. Tyson, a few times when I was in the Army. When I did that, it was when we were in East Timor. And God, my Section 2IC just floored me, because he would have been about 5 to 8 kilos overweight, like he had a belly on him. And man, he just flew. He was so much faster than I was with it. Oh, they killed me. So who else have we got here?
Simon Vanderkreets. My cardio this morning was hurting 29 calves. So when I pour out a bucket of food, they all get the chance to eat an equal amount before the quick ones eat it all.
That's unreal.
Nice one.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm assuming you're a farmer, Simon.
Yeah. Jody's saying, I'm starting to run again this week after walking every morning for a few weeks. After a knee reconstruction, I always have to strengthen my knees first. Yeah, good on you, Jody. Just take it easy and, let your body tell you when it's time to
very gentle
increase.
Start, Jody. Yep. Very gentle start.
Yep.
So because you're going to access different muscle systems by running than walking, and you're going to stress different. And depending on what you've had for the knee reconstruction, if it was an ACL and you had a hamstring graft like me, then you've got a lot of weakness in that hamstring, and that is a pivotal system in running that can cause a little instability in the body. So let's just take it nice and easy. Don't do what I did.
Tyson, just quickly, bro, are you still in infantry or did you corps transfer? Let me know. Tyson's saying I try to maintain 1 minute 20 400s. Man, you must be very fit now. What's your BFA time these days, Tyson? Your basic fitness assessment for anybody that wants to know what that means. Let me know. Sean Turner is saying I used to run alternating 5 kilometers and 2.5 kilometers every day at lunch, developing ankle and arch problems. Yeah, look, every day, it's a load. So running every day is quite often just too much load. You know, it's like saying, I deadlift every day and my back hurts all the time. Well, man, deadlifting every day would make your back hurt a lot. You got to think of this. Whenever you increase in consistency, frequency, you've got to reduce intensity.
Yep.
So if the frequency goes up, the intensity goes down. So I'm not saying you can't run every day. There's plenty of people that do it, but man, the intensity has to be reduced.
Sean's our cyclist from before, by the way. Sean, I'd love to know what your body weight did over that time. Did you remain the same body weight, or is your body weight increasing or decreasing? Is there any variable changing there? What Rad just said now is absolutely spot on. This is exactly what I did. My run is only 1.8 kilometers down to the water and back, so it's even less than that. But it is up a really steep hill on the way back, the whole way. And every day was just too much. There's not enough time to recover, and it just, that load, it just builds up. It builds up. You get what's called accumulative fatigue, and then you run into problems.
Yeah, once or twice a week is a really good place to start with running. So Vinnie Brown is saying, until I can get back to Taekwondo regularly, it's the at-home workouts cardio circuit for the win. And man, they are enough.
Yeah.
I proved that. For sure. Tyson's saying he's 30. I thought so, bro. Jody Buttle is saying, yep, ACL/hamstring graft as well as meniscus tear, taking it slow.
Yeah,
I'm capable of.
My recommendation for you, Jody, which is exactly what was said to me. Unfortunately, when you come out of an ACL repair like that, they treat you as a general pop, and they really emphasize quad strength. Which is what you need to get in and out of a chair and up a flight of stairs and walking again, so you can get yourself out of the hospital and out of palliative care. They don't focus on athletic performance, and for athletic performance, you need to regain your hamstring strength. And I found that until I went and saw a sports physio who was, very well versed in preparing athletes after integrating athletes back into their sport after an ACL reconstruction, I really couldn't do much. It was really annoying. And then he just got me in the gym deadlifting and really strengthening my hamstrings. And now I'm much better off. But that took a long time, and it took a lot of frustration, because the rehab I did straight out of hospital was terrible. Basically, you need to work with someone who's going to focus on performance, not just sort of enough to get you out of hospital. That's my feedback. That's it, guys.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all we got time for.
I think we're going to continue this discussion.
Yeah, we're going to go. We're going to go deep into running. We're going to go into programming for running, and we're going to also, hopefully, with Phil back on here, we're going to talk a little bit more about, what can happen, what can go wrong, and how to avoid that. We want to talk about how to avoid the dreaded runner's knee, which is really what stifles a lot of people. And I think we're going to give a lot of value here, because there's going to be a lot of people thinking about getting some running in, and so you should. It's a fantastic idea for summer. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
I just want to quickly say here, just Sean Turner has given one last comment. He's saying that he drops from 175 to 159 pounds. And he's saying, felt great, but overdid it. The Marine in me said, push through the pain. That didn't work. Haven't run for several years now. Sean, and anybody that's listening, what you've just highlighted is exactly what Yanni and I were talking about with this load management and how to go about this the right way. The idea of it's an all or nothing mentality. It's an idea of, I'm going to go as hard as I can. Oh, that didn't work. Now I'm going to do nothing. It's hard for us, especially if you used to be a Marine or if you used to be an infantry soldier. I really get it. We get trained to work that way, but it's not how it works in life, and especially not when you're in your 50s. There's nothing or all. There's this whole range in between there that can be accessed, and that's what you need to do. And the biggest thing, Sean, if you're a Marine and this is what you're going through, the biggest thing that you need to work on is your mindset. Your mindset around this idea of, well, if I run and I go for it, or nah, I can't do it, I'm in pain. You don't need to be like that.
I can so relate. I relate to what you experience, Sean. Trust me. But yeah, just integrate it a little bit more gently. Be a bit kind to yourself. Read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. I love that book, and then do some stretching. What he talks about towards the end there about how stretching completely changed his life. I reckon there might be a little bit of value in that from you, my brother.
Yep.
Anyway,
all right, have a great day, everyone.
We'll see you tomorrow,
soon.
guys. Take care.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's
far.
the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.